Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable panel of judges, and esteemed audience. I am nobody special. I'm just an ordinary student. But deep down, I have a voice that's been longing to be heard. The small voice that's often dismissed and often ignored. Because I know, in this world, it feels safer to stay silent, more comfortable to keep our heads down. But should we still stay silent when we see injustice? Should we still keep quiet when we face oppression? Because I can't. I know deep down that the truth has to come out, even if the voice that's delivering it is shaking. Let me introduce myself. My name is Quinsha SMA, and I'm from SMA Labschool, Bintaro. Ladies and gentlemen, freedom of speech isn't just some sort of license that we can say anything we want without thinking, like freedom. No. Freedom of speech means that we get to say the truth, even though it's hard to say in public. Our heroes, they didn't just fight with weapons. They used their minds, their words, and their hearts. And Sukarno, he shook the world, right? But he didn't only do that with force. He used his words that ignited a revolution. And Ki Hazarewantara, he didn't carry a weapon around with him. He carried a pen. And with that pen, he taught a whole nation on how to stand tall. And with that, we can learn from this legacy. We can learn that one single word can have more impact than 1,000 bullets. Now, we've all learned from this whole world different voices that are brave enough to dream and brave enough to speak, such as Martin Luther King Jr. He had a dream, and with that dream, he was able to change the fate of his nation. And Malala, she stood for the education of girls. And Nelson Mandela, he believed that freedom isn't only about being released from chains. He believed that freedom is living in a way where we all respect and enhance everybody's freedom together. So, as we can see right now, we're in a digital era. That means that we have different problems than the past. So, freedom of speech is in a whole new battlefield, which has social media hoax, hate speeches, and even social media persecution. So that means we have to make a culture that's full of literacy, a culture full of empathy, and a culture where disagreement doesn't mean disrespect. Because freedom of speech isn't only about us, our freedom and our rights. It's about us having the courage, about us having the wisdom and compassion to speak. And that's why from all of those problems, we need a generation that is courageous. Courageous enough to speak, courageous enough to stand, and courageous enough to listen. Freedom isn't only for people that can speak the loudest. No, freedom is for people that can also listen. Listen to people whose voices are different, opinions that are different. And that's why we need a courageous generation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.